Feel free to share this out however you're watching, tag a friend, and let me know what you got going on today. Here we go.
935-8773 or email.
Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Right now it is 9:04 on a Thursday morning, and Thursday means that the Galveston County Food Bank and Abundant Life Christian Center are partnered up once again. And if you are looking to volunteer, you're looking for help during this time, you can come to Abundant Life, 601 Delaney Road, and it's a contactless way to get your trunk full of food and some different things. There is no hard questions, or you don't have to show, I don't even think you have to show ID. All you need to do is answer some questions saying how many people live at your house, and that's pretty much it. And they'll pop your trunk, and you can get some food and some really good stuff in there. So I just wanted to make sure that I said that first, but now we're going to get into Ashley and Ashley's story. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me today.
So, Ashley, where are you from?
I'm actually from Lamarck. I'm from Lamarck, Texas. I graduated from Lamarck High School in 2006.
Okay, 2006. I graduated in 2004. But I did not graduate. I graduated from Abundant Life. So I grew up in Lamarck, but I went to Abundant Life, which is in Lamarck as well. So I'm class of 04, class of 06. What was going on, I guess, at Lamarck High School back then? I know the football team was always on fire.
Oh, wow, yeah. Always taking state. It was just so much excitement during that time with the football team, being able to graduate and just, pursue other dreams.
Yes. There's a lot of, when I talk to people who did graduate from Lamarck, people are like, class of 94 is the best, class of 99, and there's the different, classes of 05. Who is the best, in your opinion?
Of course, 2006. Who can forget us?
Yes. So, shout out to all of our Cougars out there. Thank you for always watching and supporting KHEA and our own city. So, Ashley, you have a really cool thing going on. Can you let me know the name of your organization?
The name of my company is Pocketful of Hope, Grief Coaching and Support. And it's not a typo. Honestly, I love the song Pocketful of Sunshine. It's always been my favorite. So that's where I got the spelling.
Yeah. So when I think of a pocket full of sunshine, I think it's something happy. It is a happy song, and it feels good. Like, that's what I would want. So a pocket full of hope is kind of along that same lines. But then the next thing is like grief. And when I think of grief, I think of kind of being sad and maybe depressed. What is grief? How do you define that?
Grief is defined as a normal and natural feeling towards the loss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, grief, it has darkness. It has emotions such as anger, depression, sadness. But the whole movement that I'm trying to do is normalize grief and have people move forward on their journey and be filled with gratitude, because it's all about self-discovery. You're not the same person after you experience loss.
Mm-hmm.
So move forward, have a future, and have a purpose. And you have this legacy to live out when you lose that loved one.
Is grief normal?
It's totally normal. The biggest thing about grief, you want to make sure that you feel the rawest emotions, cry it out, feel it. Because if you don't feel these emotions, it can end up in a downward spiral, such as, it's days where you're not bathing, you're not eating, you're sleeping longer periods of time, or maybe a loss of sleep. So once you get in that dark space and you're stagnant, and it's going to be days like that, which is normal, you will want to reach out to possibly a grief coach, maybe some grief counseling as well.
Okay. Whenever you're going through that time, I guess, are you still able to function? I mean, does it depend on the person? Like, can you still go to work, or should you take some time off? Does it depend on the situation?
And that's a good question there, honestly, because grief is unique to the person. No one loss is the same, and everyone has a different experience. However, most jobs have 3 to 5 days for bereavement leave. And that's an issue too. Some jobs do not plan for the extended amount of time that you may need to take, or when you return back to work, what does that plan look like? Am I going to have someone to help me with my workload, to lessen my workload? Am I going to have brief periods of time where I can go to the break room, drink some water, and then gather myself, or a time to cry? So a lot of companies don't have that. And I am a certified workplace coach as well, and I can help many companies and corporations navigate through that and have a plan and know what grief, bereavement, and even mourning looks like.
So what you would be able to do is work with, let's say, like a refinery, like, a Marathon, Amoco, something like that. If there's a situation, you'd be able to come in and help that person navigate back in a healthy way, right, to be able to hopefully get some sense of normal and come back to work and life, right?
Right. I will be able to help that person, as well as possibly the HR team, the supervisors, and everyone just get on board with helping this person and support them.
So, talking about grief, would you be able to counsel someone, let's say that they lose, like right now during COVID-19, there's been a lot of businesses that have struggled, and sometimes, some of them have gone away and maybe not ever come back. Is that normal for somebody to grieve over situations, instead of, losing somebody?
Right. That's totally normal. It's different levels to grief and loss. Is different ways to grieve, such as natural disasters, like you said, COVID, even job loss. It's just the different roles that you had once before, like the job role. Yeah, that is a form of grief. Not being able to fulfill that job role anymore. So yes, I could help someone transition through that.
Okay, so how do you do that? So, we talked about the business aspect. Mm-hmm. So somebody goes through some situations, you kind of work with the employers. Let's say I'm my employer doesn't offer that. If I'm going through a situation, what do you do to help somebody?
So if an employer does not offer any bereavement or EPA, I would step in and just be that resource for that company, and just help them transition, just to move forward in that situation.
Okay. And can we talk a little bit about, I guess, the business? So it's Pocketful of Hope. You do grief coaching and counseling and kind of helping people find that hope. Why did you start the business?
I actually started this business because of the loss of my son. I know the events that I went through with the workplace, and I was never able to physically return again. My son died at 3.5 months old, August 2015. And from there, I actually started a nonprofit, which is called the Baby-Stewart Foundation. And through philanthropy, just helping the community as a whole, helping Lamar, Galveston County area, even Harris County, that helped me. And then I start connecting with these mothers who also experience loss through Compassionate Friends, my online community, people in the community reaching out to me, impacted by my story. So I felt like I had to dig a little deeper and kind of do something separate from the nonprofit and just focus solely on grief and bereavement and loss.
Going through that situation, did you know that there was grief coaching? Did you reach out to somebody, or were you just relying on friends and family?
Honestly, I didn't know of a thing as grief coaching because, it differs from traditional counseling setting. Counseling, they want to diagnose you, they want to medicate the situation, they focus on the past, the present, and that's what they focus on. As far as with coaching, they're meeting the person where they are now in their grief and moving forward and focusing on that one thing. Both are great. I did go to counseling. However, if I knew about grief coaching, I would have wanted to pursue that as well.
Are there different stages of grief? Because you said meet them where they're at, so you can kind of say like, okay, this is where you're at and this is where we need to be. Are there different stages, and what are they?
Different stages, of course. Anger, denial. It is 5 stages. However, it's not a linear thing with grief. People think, okay, you're going to go through these 5 stages in order. It's not the case. Grief can be all over the place. One moment you're okay, the next minute you have a grief burst in the grocery store. So the 5 stages, it just gives people an idea of what grief looks like, but not an example I necessarily use.
Yeah. So then, once you're in a situation, you said it's not linear, so you can kind of bounce around. And even if you're okay, like let's say you get to a situation, you're back at work and trying to live life and honor, that legacy and everything else. Is there situations where you just kind of like go back to one of those 5 stages of grief?
Right.
That's
of course.
normal?
Yeah, that's completely normal. Long as you're not staying in that darkness, in that dark place, and staying in that space. That's where, the coaching kicks in to help you move forward and not stay in that darkness, and to know that you're not alone in this situation.
Okay. So how can somebody get a hold of you? I saw you're on social media,
Right.
as well.
You can get a hold to me on Facebook, Coaching with Ashley, or Ashley the Grief Coach. Pocketful of Hope also has a Facebook page. And my website, if you're ready to coach with me, is pocketfulofhopegriefcoaching.com.
What is I found sometimes in situations, whether that's like I'm going to start exercising, I want to do a diet, I'm going to reach out for help, I have a situation. I feel like the hardest part is reaching out.
Right.
Would you say you agree in that situation?
I agree, because honestly, people in your grief, they just want to get you through the toughest part. The initial shock of the loss, planning for the funeral, and then the funeral. After the repast, after everything is said and done, you don't hear from anyone. And that's less than 30 days. So it's hard to reach out at first, because people can't relate. People, box you in to, treat you like a special case. Oh, I never experienced this before. It's like, it's no empathy. So it's hard. I mean, even pastors told me, I don't see how you're okay in your situation. You're saying faith all the time. You're praying, but I just don't see it. And, I understand if you, want to hate God. And I'm like, that's not the case. But it's hard to reach out when no one can really relate. No one knows the right things to say. So altogether, they just avoid you. And I think that's the worst case with your support system. Even if it's to vent, they should allow you to at least vent.
Yeah, I think sometimes people want to give that space. Like, they need their space, or I don't know the right thing to say.
Right.
And, should I say something? What if I say something wrong? So how should that person, like if you have let's say I have a friend and they're grieving over a situation, what are some things that I should do or say? Like, do they even want to talk to me? Like, do a soft reach out? How should I treat them?
Honestly, if you reach out to them and you ask them, is there anything that I can do for you? Is there anything that I need? Sometimes that it's shut down. They shut down. I don't know what I need in that moment. And I was like that too.
Yeah.
Everyone, what do you need? What do you need? I don't know.
Yeah.
I want, my son, But I feel that just take a proactive approach. Sometimes you have to be present for them. Show up at their doorstep. Bring food. Bring water. Send a card off to them. Send them a text even though they don't respond, and let them know that you're thinking of them.
So right now it is 9:18. This is KHEA Radio.com, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy. I'm talking to Ashley with Pocketful of Hope. It's grief coaching. And in the description of this video, I labeled it as dealing with grief in your personal life and in the workplace on KHEA Radio. But on the description, I kind of want to read, because I got this off of your social media pages. But it says grief is a healing process. And like anything, I guess, it is a process. Right. to heal, or if you want to get from here to there, it's always a process. What can you speak about the process? It's a process,
right.
It's not always the easiest thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely a journey. Although some people think, oh, I can just let go. I'm not going to think about it. It's a lot of grief avoidance, which is the wrong thing to do. I mean, it's even studies that prove if you express those emotions and you're active with that process of healing, then you're going to be fine going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So with this journey, no one day is the same. Every day is different. The only thing you can do is just to plan for the future. If I find myself in this situation, who can I reach out to? What does my circle look like? What are my resources out there available to me? A lot of people don't know what the Compassionate Friends are. It's a local chapter here in Texas City. It's a national chapter also. And that's a support group, online and offline. You know, am I going to reach out to them? So it's just a matter of doing the work, inward and outward.
You know, I like, having a plan. If something happens or you have a friend going through a situation, it's good to know what resources are out there. Nobody ever wants anything to happen, but, it is good to know, like you had mentioned, you wish you had known about grief coaching before, and counseling is great and everything else, but it's just a different situation. Right. So, is there anything else that you would like to share while you're here today or remind anybody?
I just want to remind everyone that grief is normal. Feel the rawest emotions that you have. If you're in the workplace, reach out to EAP, see what kind of resources they have for you there. And also look up Sheryl Sandberg. She's the CEO of Facebook. Billionaire. She lost her husband. She has resources as well, a book called Option B. And she helped people through her loss as well. And a lot of these companies, Facebook, MasterCard, and SurveyMonkey, has 20 days of bereavement leave. So a lot of companies may want to reconsider their plan and help their employees, because lots of money is being lost in these companies just because there's no effective plan set in place for someone that experiences loss.
That is good. And we talk to a lot of business owners, and that's something that maybe, a smaller business, they just don't think about, yet, or because they juggle a lot of different jobs, but that's very important for them. And how can somebody get a hold of you?
You could get a hold of me on my website. I do have a coffee chat option available if you want to kind of fill me out and see if grief coaching is necessarily for you. And that's Pocketful of Hope, griefcoaching.com. Also, everyone, remember to go pink and blue for this month. Today is actually Infant Loss Awareness Month. Remembrance Day, but the whole month is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness. So 1 in 4 mothers who have lost a child, that's me. It's not a statistic, it's me.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. All right, Facebook, hey, and social media, YouTube, everybody else is watching this. If you have any questions for Ashley, please feel free to reach out to her. Do not hesitate. Reading some of these comments, I see, if you can, benefit from this, or you see somebody that can, feel free to reach out. And she said, hey, go sit down and have a conversation, fill it out and see if it's a good fit for you. I mean, maybe even if you have questions, send a Facebook message. And Ashley, I will say this, is very good at responding to Facebook messages. Me and her, we were messaging back and forth, and I was like, this is what I like, this instant. It's like a conversation. Like we're talking and then bouncing right back. So thank you again, Ashley, for joining today. And everybody watching, hey, y'all be blessed. Have an amazing